Hello, welcome to the Owatonna Today Show. I'm your host, Francy Hall. Thanks so much for joining us here on Channel 181 or on YouTube or the thirdhandvideo.com. We appreciate you being here. We are going to be taking a visit today to Brick Meger Funeral Home as well as to the Fernbrook Family Center. If you have ideas, by the way, for other future shows, we'd sure appreciate hearing them. Go ahead and just Facebook message us, or you can call us or email us. We'd love to get your ideas. We'll be right back with the Brick Meger Funeral Home after a word from our supporters. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jody Voisin with the staff at Fairview Animal Medical Center, your other family doctor. Fairview Animal Medical Center is a proud supporter of the Owatonna Today Show.
Juvenile fire setters cause a lot of problems with young adults and children in our community. To help people and parents or anybody with their juvenile fire setter, we have a program down here that will help you get information to pass on to your juveniles and young adults about fire setting and the common problems with that and the dangers of juvenile fire setting program. This is a public service information from the Owatonna Fire Department.
Hello, I'm David Einhaus with the Owatonna Foundation. Thank you to all of our donors who have helped make Owatonna a better place to live. Will you join us today with a financial gift? Owatonna Foundation is a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show.
Welcome back. We are here at the Brick Meger Funeral Home, and we're with Glen and Michael. And Michael has joined the family business here about 1.5 years ago. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But we've also got some other really important topics to talk about. So let's introduce you to Michael if you don't already know him as Mike, the avid wrestler from OHS. Mike, you want to introduce yourself and tell them your role here?
Yeah, I'm Michael Meger. I joined the firm here about 1.5 years ago, maybe 1 year and 9 months ago, almost 2 years ago. I had done my internship and schooling out in Chicago. And then I worked at a firm in St. Paul, and then for a college wrestling buddy out in North Dakota who had a family funeral home out there. I helped him out there for 2 years, and then came back here about 1.5 years ago. So that's kind of been my path here. So.
Wow. So that's really interesting. 2 wrestlers involved with funeral homes. I have to say something. My husband is a wrestler, and he was also involved with the funeral home in South Dakota. There's a strange nexus there. So what's it like working with your son, Glen?
Well, it's a great pleasure that Mike joined the firm. He kind of grew up as one of our maintenance people as he was going through high school, and I just gave him the opportunity to say that you have the skills of what it takes to become a mortician, and he discerned that throughout college, and then after he graduated from North Dakota State University, he decided to continue his mortuary science education in Chicago. So we're really glad to have him back.
And you mentioned that he has the skills that are needed for this important profession. And let's talk a little bit about that, because what do you think are some of the most important things that a person can bring to this kind of really important work?
Well, I really think that you have to, first of all, have the best interest of your families in mind. Listening skills, you have to have compassion for what experiences our families are going through is probably the most important skill sets that one can have. For the past 24 years, I've gotten asked this question, whatever made you become a mortician, or why did you want to become a mortician? And I have a short, simple answer to say that when families have their worst day, I'm clear thinking, I ask the right questions, I listen, and those are some of the skill sets that I bring to my profession, and I think it's important, for Mike to learn that as well.
So, Michael, you've watched your father. He's the first generation in this business for your family, and now you're the second generation joining in, and you've watched him for years. What is it that you most admire about the way he goes about this work?
Well, I'll emphasize the many years. It's 24 years. That's quite a long time. No, he does like to remind me that he has that experience, but that is very key in this profession too. That's kind of why I went around, at a few other places to kind of gain some more experience and kind of bring that back here. But we're when I describe me and my dad, I always say we're helpers. We're the people who are driving on the side of the road, and I'll be with my friend and I go, oh, there's someone pulled over. They're on the side of the road. Should we help them? And they'll go, well, no, it could be someone, it could be a mass murder or someone. But we always want to help people. We're always just have that innate urge to open the door for someone or to help someone. So I kind of gravitated. It was natural for me to kind of gravitate towards this business.
So compassion is really important, it sounds like. Yeah. And so the nuts and bolts, most people know the nuts and bolts of funerals and funeral planning and things like that. Obviously, a key piece is listening and being compassionate to those people. And I would like to ask, before we get into just a few of the nuts and bolts, what is it that we can do as people who are helping others who've had a loss? You deal with that every day. So when I come across somebody and they've lost a loved one, how can I handle that? What can I do to be helpful and compassionate with them?
I think it's really important that you allow the person that's going through the grieving process the chance to tell their story. There's a saying in our industry to say that a story that's shared, grief is diminished. And even though that person that's experiencing the loss or grieving a loss, the more they tell that story, the more they can remind themselves the impact of that loved one had on their lives, the easier it's going to be for them to have a healthy outcome from a loss of a loved one.
And so you really help people through the grieving process. It's not just helping with the funeral arrangements, which is an important piece of the grieving process.
And we really do. We really walk with them. We walk with them through that process. And through that process, as we walk with them, we can help them with different aspects of well, maybe we should think of this piece of the process, and we can guide them. So really, once they're done with the funeralization process, then they can definitely they can move along with their life, knowing that because really what it is that this experience is learning how to live their lives and conclude a relationship, and then move on with their lives.
So you're guiding them through a journey while you are providing this good service.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of people have to wrestle with this problem. I mean, really wrestle with losing. Everyone wrestles with losing a loved one, right? And you talked about the process. What are some of the things that people need to be thinking about when it comes to death, preparing for death, funerals, and the like? Michael.
Well, the kind of big thing that is happening, that I've seen is when I started 5 years ago, my dad didn't see this as much, back when he started, but before we started the show today, I was setting a pre-arrangement appointment, and we're doing about 2 or 3 of those every week. When my dad started out, he probably did maybe 1 a month.
And
so
pre-arrangement, what is pre-arrangement exactly?
Pre-arrangement, there's 2 types. There's a pre-arrangement and then pre-funding. Now the pre-arrangement part would be just sitting down and just telling us your wants and wishes. A good example would be, well, I'm going to have my service here at this church, and I'm going to be buried here, and this is who I want my pallbearers to be. Just the general information. Then we also get the pertinent information for the death certificate, of course. But it's just a lot of information gathering, because Whether you just give us the bare minimum or you schedule everything out to the flowers and everything, if the death happens at 2 o'clock in the morning, I can look at the prearrangement file and know that I need to call this clergy in the morning, and it really helps the process out for the family.
And part of that is really peace of mind. We're providing peace of mind and gathering that information. I've never, in the 24 years I've been doing this, I've never had a family come back to me and say, well, that prearrangement was really a bad idea. When families come in, we have a plan in place, and then we just follow that plan. And families are really grateful for that, for that experience.
So we're talking about, I'm coming in and I'm talking about what I want my funeral arrangement to be in the event of my death. And what is the difference you see between those funerals that have had the forethought and done the prearrangement? I mean, it's not the funerals, but the people who have gone through that process.
The whole process is, if you prearrange it, you get your wants and wishes down on paper. When a family comes in that does not have a prearrangement, they are forced and they have to make those decisions. And sometimes those decisions are more emotionally driven versus when you do a prearrangement, they're clear thinking, they're not pressured into making any decisions when we look at prearranging.
So it can be helpful for the family members that are left behind to have had their loved one make this prearranged.
Most families, most next of kin, children, spouses, there's a sense of relief when it comes to knowing that their parents did a prearrangement.
Okay. We'd like to thank Glen and Michael for being with us today and providing this really helpful information. We're going to have a few messages from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Stick with us.
Hi, my name is Dave Efforts with TPS Insurance. We're here to handle all your insurance needs. We are a very proud supporter of the Owatonna Today Show.
I didn't just want another job, I wanted a career, so I expressed myself.
I was new to town and I didn't know where to turn for a job, so I decided to express myself.
I decided to express myself, and they helped find the right career for me.
Express Employment Professionals is in contact with thousands of companies in need of quality employees. Come in now and get the job you deserve.
Express yourself today.
Hi, this is Doug Johnson at the Owatonna Business Incubator, a proud supporter of the Owatonna Today Show. We'd like to welcome you to the incubator. If you're a small business, whether you're existing or a startup, we can help you with office space, manufacturing or warehouse, and free confidential counseling.
Welcome to Bremer Bank. I am Jason Iberg.
And I'm Shannon Pedersen.
Bremer is a full financial services bank.
We invite you to stop by Bremer Bank and experience the Bremer difference.
You are always welcome at Bremer.
We are here with Jon Huemoeller, who is the CEO and the clinical director here at Fernbrook Family Center. And this is their brand new building, right?
Yep.
And you've been here how long now?
It's been 5 months.
5 months. It's a gorgeous building because Leanne and you gave us a tour, and it's amazing. It's a huge building. How much space is this?
About 10,500 square feet.
And there's a lot of people that get served here. And so who is welcome? We're at the welcome desk here. Who is it that comes to Fernbrook Family Center?
Well, it's typically children and or adults who are struggling with some kind of mental health issue that they want to take power over. They want to take their life back. And it's those individuals who would come here.
That's awesome. I love the way he said that. They want to take power back. That's great. So what kind of, it's a family center, but it's, as we were talking, you indicated it's not just families with children, it's also individuals. What are the main groups of folks that you do serve here?
Well, again, it's, children, we do family work. We would also have individual adults. And then it's a variety of services. It would be that typical, the traditional outpatient talk therapy where you would sit in a room and have a conversation with a therapist. But then we also do a lot of home and community-based work that we would call skills training. So it's a more kind of hands-on, active, coaching individuals on how to manage their symptoms of their mental health issue.
Okay, within their own environment,
within
not
the context
coming to
of their own environment. Yeah, I mean, one of the things we kind of say is that we will go to to where the problem is if we have to.
Okay.
So if we have a child who is biting other kids in daycare and they're at risk of being thrown out of the daycare, we would, if it's okay with the daycare provider, obviously, spend time at that daycare working with that child on how to improve their anger management, how to regulate their emotions better, how to interact differently with other kids, things like that.
So, wow, that's really, that's innovative and flexible and all of that.
Yes.
Of course, if you come here, it's a beautiful space. And so we definitely want to take a tour around some of the spaces
absolutely.
that are utilized. Why don't we go ahead and do that?
Okay, that sounds very good.
So, John, where are we?
This is one of our more traditional outpatient therapy rooms. So this is, we were talking earlier about that sort of that standard model of therapy that people think about where you come to their office and you sit in a therapist's office for an hour.
And there's an actual couch.
Right, and you talk, right? You wouldn't lay
yes.
on this couch, that's kind of old school, but you would sit and talk with a therapist about whatever it is you were kind of dealing with. You could have a family in here who's struggling with a particular child, or maybe you have a relationship issue between a parent-child. Could be an individual.
Could be a couple.
Could be a couples therapy. We do couples counseling, so it could be a couple. Yeah, a variety of things, but it would be, this is your more traditional outpatient therapy office.
Okay, so kind of a traditional therapy takes place in here, the
correct.
talk therapy, the listening therapy, and it's just, they're beautiful. Do you intentionally choose the colors and things that are muted?
Actually, most of our offices now are these, pretty much these same colors, similar decorations, try to keep a calm, soothing feel, you don't have bright red and things like that.
So there's psychology behind the decorating.
You want calm, you want soothing, you want comfortable. That's the key with facilities like this.
All right.
So.
Well, this is a beautiful space. We're going to go see another space,
All right.
okay?
Sounds very good.
So, John, this is clearly a room for children,
It
right?
is. Yeah, absolutely.
And we were talking earlier, and you said that the majority, the highest percentage of folks you serve are actually children.
Yep, that's correct.
What are the age ranges?
Well, age range is from the state's definition of a child is actually 0 to 21.
Okay.
And so we would go anywhere from birth. We have a number of clients who are 1, 2 years old.
Wow.
All the way up to 21.
What kind of trends how long have you been at this?
This is probably my 20th year about.
So you've seen a pretty long period of time of mental health profession, and what are the trends that you're noticing right now, especially in dealing with children and what they're presenting to you?
Yeah. Well, with kids, we certainly see, in the papers all over constantly is the increased rate of kids diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. So we're seeing that more and more and more. We're seeing kids with, they're called attachment disorders. Kids who have been traumatized in some way. They're kind of coming from situations where they come from neglect.
Okay.
A lot of those kids. And then we see a lot of the kids who have an anxiety disorder, ADHD, depression, a lot of that. Occasionally it's more rare that you see kids with like childhood schizophrenia or childhood bipolar.
So you're not seeing an increase in those
Not
things?
seeing an increase in that.
Is there an actual increase in things like the kids diagnosed with autism and ADHD? That seems like everybody's diagnosed.
We're seeing just year after year after year, we're seeing an influx of more and more kids with mental health disorders as well as adults.
So do they actually have those things, do you think? Are they presenting with things that could be called that, but that it's something else, or what? I mean, what's going on?
That's nature nurture. That's nature nurture. That's
Okay.
To some degree that depends on the clinician and who you talk to. Does this stem from the environment in which they were raised, or do they have a genetic predisposition to a particular disorder? And in a lot of cases, the answer is both.
Now, if it can be both, if it can be that it's the environment that they're in, whether it's from neglect or abuse or whatnot, or it's an organic thing that's happening in their brain and body, is the treatment the same?
Often, yes. Often
Okay.
it is. Yep, often it is.
And so what do we do in this room?
Well, with the genetic stuff, you certainly want to use, a lot of times you're going to be using psychotropic medicine. You're going to have a psychiatrist who might introduce medicine. They might as well in some of the other situations, they might, but certainly with the genetic stuff, you know.
So if it seems more organic, treat it organically as well.
Yep.
But if it seems behavioral, there's a little more of the behavioral content.
But typically you want a dual track approach where you're using therapy, skill building, along with a medical kind of approach to treat mental health.
It's not either or, it's and. What happens in this room?
This room is specifically for our birth to 5 population. So this is little kids' room. You can imagine that, in the talk therapy room that we were at a minute ago, a 4-year-old wouldn't do so well in that
They'd be
setting.
bouncing off the walls
It'd be
and
a really
jumping
hard
on the
setting
couch.
for them to do their thing. So in here, we would come in here, and this would be a lot of play therapy. But you would have a lot of skill building kind of stuff in here as well. You'd have, looking again at emotional regulation, at following instructions. Let's take toys out now. Let's pick them up. Let's transition to a new activity. All those things for certain kids with certain mental health disorders are really problematic. And so they get good practice in this environment.
Okay. And so you can deal with kids who and adults who have, less demanding kinds of issues, all the way up to the ones that require way more, that might be really oppositional or really angry or really.
So our services are set up to be, you used the word flexibility before, and flexibility isn't just location of service, it's also intensity of service. So if we have a particular child or adult who might require 4 sessions a week, we can provide that. If it's 1 session, that's fine. But if they truly need that much practice to get a handle on their mental health disorder, it could be 15 to 20 hours of service a week.
Okay. Yeah. And so, what's the trend that you're seeing in understanding some of the behavioral issues and how to approach them with the therapy?
Yeah, well, the trend right now is it's called trauma-informed care, and so it's a redefinition of the word trauma. Sort of the classic definition of the word trauma is a traumatic event was I was in a car accident, I was physically assaulted, I was sexually assaulted. Trauma in the trauma-informed care model, a trauma event is considered, I'm growing up in a house with a chemically dependent parent. I have a mentally ill parent. I was placed into foster care. I removed a billion times. Those are trauma events, and they've done some really crazy longitudinal studies where they've shown that kids who into adulthood who had more than 4 trauma events in early childhood were more likely to in adulthood have major mental health problems, but also have major physical health problems.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
We're going to have to wrap this up here right now. I think we're going to try to see one more.
No time.
No more time. We have no more time.
Okay.
How can that be?
I don't know.
Thanks so much for joining us. Stick with us after these messages.
Hi, Warren Abraham, Abraham Consulting Technologies, your one-stop technology shop. We support the Owatonna Today Show.
day after day, taking pride in our community, listening to what you say, a voice you can talk to. We're growing with you in mind in everything we do. Owatonna Public Utilities.
Welcome back. It is time for our community announcements to keep you connected to what's going on here in Owatonna and the area. Remember that now from May 31st, there's an online auction to support the Orphanage Museum, and you can participate in that at auctioncityonline.com. On May 6th, there is the Engaged for Life event, and that is this year. It's taking place at Trinity Lutheran Church, and that event is from noon to 1. Well, the keynote is noon to 1, and the event itself is from 9 to 1 p.m. And this is Engaged for Life for seniors and caregivers. Looks like Bouter Recovery Institute, that is the organization that has now purchased the Gainey Center, and they're going to be having an open house. So if you've always wondered what the Gainey Center looks like, or if you want to know what it looks like now that Bouter is in there, Friday, May 8th will be the open house, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. They'll be doing a presentation. 12 p.m. to 1, there's a tour, and there's lunch, and there's networking. Upcoming blood donation opportunities at St. Joseph Church on Elm Street, Wednesday, May 13th, and Thursday, May 14th, and Friday, May 15th. Noon to 6 p.m. Friday, it's 8 to 1 p.m. Friday, May 15th, also from 7 to 9 p.m. It's the Building Hope for Homes fundraiser for this. That's at the Steele County History Center, and that is for the Habitat for Humanity, so that they can start funding the home that they're going to be building starting in June. Vintage and perennial plant sale, Saturday, May 16th from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the Village of Yesteryear. That sounds fun. Want to learn more about your bike and safe bicycling? Attend Traffic Skills 101. Do that with your kids. That'd be a great idea. Friday, May 15th and Saturday, May 16th. On May 15th, it's 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. On Saturday, May 16th, it's 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's at the Morehouse Park Chalet. Riverbend Nature Center will be hosting Bird Fest. It's a hands-on celebration of the spring return of Minnesota's wild birds on Saturday, May 23rd from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. The 63rd Annual Steele County Art Exhibit at the Owatonna Art Center is May 3rd through 31st. And that is what we have today. We sure hope that you'll join us back here on Friday. Our guests for Friday are going to be Retrofit Company and the Alternative Learning Center, talking about their Main Street cleanup and a fundraiser that the students are doing for one of their teachers. Please stick with us for a word from our sponsors.